Throughout World War II in the Pacific, the night belonged to the Japanese. But on May 17, 1945, a young American lieutenant led a rare night attack on a key ridge on the Japanese island of Okinawa. If he could hold the ridge, American troops would pour through and defeat the Japanese in the last battle of the war.
Ted Bell's the kind of guy you'd like to have with you in a fight, and would certainly agree that he is a hero of World War II.
What Ted does is essentially saves the lives of thousands of other Americans. He is one of that legendary group of people who saved this nation from what had been the greatest threat it had ever faced.
Born in 1920, Bell grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, on the leafy streets of Buckhead, the son of a judge, the nephew of 4 West Point men. He dreamed of following his uncles into the U.S. Military Academy. When he was turned down for West Point, he went to the Citadel, South Carolina's military college.
I had an uncle who was in the military, handsome fellow with a campaign hat and a Sam Brown belt and shiny boots, and I wanted to look just like him.
Bell was part of the class of 1942.
Class of 1942 was probably one of the most distinguished classes the Citadel ever produced.
The Citadel believes, and I believe, that you have to surrender before you can lead. You have to learn how to take orders before you can give orders.
As teenagers training and studying in Charleston, South Carolina, they were not that different from other young men of their day. Young men who knew that World War II would soon be theirs to fight.
The training became far more important. We knew we were going to all use it.
Bell was known for his hijinks at the Citadel, even though his roommate, James Grimsley, was a straight arrow and leader of the cadets.
There was a window on the bottom floor of our barracks, that a room occupied by a freshman, and you could get that grill out of the window and go out if you so desired. And I so desired once or twice.
When he would leave, he would stuff his bed and with pillows and blankets so it looked like somebody's in bed.
You would tell the freshmen, look at the wall, and so then you'd go.
I made it a point to do that when the checks were being made, and they would just glance in and assume that he was in bed already.
And then you'd go back in the same window and sneak back in your room, but you could not let Grimsley know, because if somebody asked him a question, the honor code said he had to answer it.
He did things I would never dare do, but I knew a lot about it, and never put myself in a position where I had to testify.
In fact, I'm afraid to tell this. I'm afraid they could still report me and I'd walk tours. I'm afraid to tell this kind of thing. Yeah.
He was probably the most liked and I would say respected individual in the company because of his sense of humor, because of his attitude towards life.
The summer before his senior year, Bell was back home in Atlanta when his best friend set him up on a date with college sophomore Mary Hill.
I met Ted on a blind date, first one I'd ever had. We had nice talks, and he thought funny, and he still thinks funny.
Back at school, Bell and his classmates watched World War II unfold. And when they learned of the attack on Pearl Harbor on that Sunday afternoon in December, they were sure they'd ship out for the war the next day.
Our president of the Citadel was General Summerall. He immediately on Monday went to Washington. When he returned about Wednesday, he got the Corps of Cadets together, and he said, we'll never forget his speech, gentlemen, this is your war. They don't need us old men. The entire class en masse went to war 6 months after Pearl Harbor, but they did allow us to graduate.